Hi there and welcome. This video will show you how to get familiar with the Cisco IOS, which is running on most, if not all, Cisco switches that are out there. The ones that I will be showing you about are the Catalyst switches, which are the most commonly used ones. They have Nexus switches, which the iOS on them are a little bit different. They're mostly used in server grade applications. Even most of the Catalyst routers will use these basic commands. So what I have here is it's called Cisco Packet Tracer. The way I got it was when I was enrolled in the Cisco course. I don't know if maybe you could find it somewhere online or if there is a free download for it, but it is a really cool program to use. Now, I don't know if maybe you're sitting there with an actual Cisco switch next to you, but for the most part, it'll be the same thing. If you have the physical switch there with you, obviously what you're going to have to do is have it plugged in, which is a given. And then what you'll have to do is get a console cable, which depending on what computer you have, I'm running a 2013 MacBook, so I don't have a serial port on my computer. So I would need a console to serial, the serial to USB. And then you got to get your drivers worked out and all that kind of stuff. But once you can figure that out, I know there are tons of videos out there on how to set that up. Once you get that set up, you're going to open up PuTTY on Windows. You can pull up the console connection on there and begin doing these commands. But for this video, I will be using Packet Tracer. So I will just go down here to the switches and I'll drag out a random switch. I'll click on that, do the CLI. So when you first plug in your physical switch, this is actually what's going to be showing up if you're in the console. It's definitely not going to be that fast. The switches that we have deployed on my campus, they will normally take around 5 to 8 minutes to come back up if we would do a reset on them. So what it'll first do is it'll load the Cisco IOS image, which we'll talk about later on. And then it runs through a whole bunch of other stuff that really you don't need to know in this video quite yet. So this is a blank configured switch, so I mean it has no configuration. So hit return to get started. Now what you'll see here is this little arrow there. Now that is very important to which commands you can actually execute in or on the switch. So this is actually user mode. Most of the time you will never be in here. It's very limited for security reasons, and you could use that to give that access to certain people, and then give the other access to the administrators. The other access is called privileged exec mode, which that means you can configure the switch. You have pretty much full reign on the switch. So what you'll need to do is type ENABLE, or you can actually hit EN for short, with a lot of Cisco commands. As long as you get enough of it that makes it unique, and that there's not another command similar to it, it'll work. So for example, if I do sh run, it'll show the running configuration instead of having to type show run. It'll both give me the same thing, but it's obviously not needed. So now you can see that changed to a little hashtag, which means that you are in privileged exec mode. Now the way that we have it on our campus is we have a Radius server that holds all of our usernames and passwords, and when we SSH into those switches, we're right smack in privileged exec mode. But if you will be consoling in, this is the process that you will be doing. So you have to go in, type enable, then there will be a password, and that'll be something that we'll set up in another video where I show you how to pretty much set up the initial configuration of a switch. So let's see here. When you have any questions, like if you don't know how to finish a command, let's say the show command. Well, I know it starts with show, but I don't know exactly what I can do with this command. If you simply type a question mark, it'll actually show a whole bunch of things that you can add after that. If you hit the space bar, it'll show all of them. So, like I said, if we would do like the show running -config, that's the whole entire command for that. So typing sh-run is a lot faster than typing in show running -config. Another useful command is the show version command, or you could do shver. Let me just get down here so I can see. So this will give you the information of the software on the switch. So we can see this switch that I pulled out is a Catalyst 2950. It'll show you uptime, so you can see if a switch was rebooted, maybe when it shouldn't have been. Most of the time it'll give you the serial numbers of everything that's in there, pretty much a lot of stuff. It'll actually show you, I don't know if it's showing here, yeah, right there. It'll show you the version of the iOS that you're running, and obviously you want to make sure that's up to date because Cisco will push security updates through those, and I'll show you how to update the iOS in a later video as well. So that is the show version command. So another thing that you will use when configuring switches is you need to have VLANs. So you can do show VLAN. So you can see all the different VLAN numbers, which is along the side here. You can see their names, whether or not they're active, and what port numbers are assigned to. So you can see this is a 24-port Cisco switch, and all 24 ports are on the VLAN 1. Now, in a security aspect, that is a huge no-no. With every computer on the same VLAN, if somebody would be sniffing packets, they would be able to see anything. Let's say port 19 is throwing out, port 1, 2, 3, every other port can see what they're doing, which isn't a good thing because most of the time it probably isn't encrypted and it can just be easily sniffed in a packet sniffer such as Wireshark. So VLAN 1 also is the default VLAN for every single Cisco switch, which that is the default one for the one that you just turned on now. Which means that you should change it in a security aspect as well. For an example, let's say you have the networking team, put that on VLAN 2, and then you have maybe people who work in a certain department, such as, if we put this in a college campus example, we have the networking team on VLAN 2, we have the admissions on VLAN 3, we might have the registrar's office on VLAN 4. Keep everybody kind of separated. It just helps with security. So another command that is very, very useful is the show interface command, which, if let's say we want to look at port 1, so the FA0/1, it will then give you all the information that is on that port. So you can see that it is down and it is disabled by the administration. You can see the MAC address of the port itself, which does play a very crucial role in how information is switched. You can see the duplex, which is in half duplex, which normally, most of the time, 99% of the time, it will be in full duplex. Half duplex means that only one, let's say we have two computers connected together, only one computer can send information across the wire at a time. So that means they both can't talk back and forth. Full duplex means that it will utilize both twisted pairs in the wire, so that each machine can send and receive both at the same time. Problems with half duplex is that there can be collisions, which means dropped packets, because one's trying to communicate while the other is. It also speeds down your switching time. And then it gives you a whole bunch of other stuff here. How many, errors there are, which is the collisions down here is how you could tell if there are, maybe that the port is in half duplex. You can see a lot of stuff just specifically to the port there. Another command that you can use, if we do the show flash, you can actually see this is the directory of your flash, which is the storage on your Cisco device. So you'll actually, when you configure the switch and you get it all up and running, it'll create a VLAN file, a VLAN.dat. It'll create a configuration file. Obviously, you want to save your configuration so that you don't have to type it in every time the switch goes, turns on. So if we would just do a WR, which will write to memory. If I do show flash again, it should have showed up. But this file right here, you have your permissions there, which means read and write. You have the file size, and then you would have a date of when it was uploaded. So this is the current version of the iOS for this device. Makes it really nice and simple. Right there is the file name. That'll be the file name that you also get from Cisco. So let's say, if we so that didn't work for some reason. And I will tell you, with the packet tracer, not all the commands work on here that it will on an actual switch. So what that should have done is copied the running configuration that we have now, which is basically nothing. Maybe that is why. So yeah, it still didn't show up. But you can also do the delete. And if you would, let's say we would want to do the iOS here, you would copy that. So delete flash : and then you would paste that in. For some reason it didn't want to paste. Paste that in. It'll then ask you if you want to. I obviously don't want to. But if you would upload the new version of the iOS, obviously you'd want to get rid of the old one to conserve space on the flash. So then you would do that. So that's pretty much a bunch of basic commands that you will use almost every time you get on to troubleshoot a switch, configure a switch. Pretty much commands you will use all the time. So the next video that I'll have is just a real basic configuration of a Cisco Catalyst switch. Thanks for watching.